Hello and welcome to the post-spring statement Guido Talks reaction special. Joining me today is editor Paul Staines, and we're going to be chatting away about the announcements that Rishi made in the House and the various responses that we've seen. And I guess we should start with the potential awkwardness, Paul, which is that your denial that Rishi had a low-cut tax-cutting instinct in his body has been shown to be slightly pessimistic, hasn't it?
Well, I did write a piece, a few pieces, maybe about a few dozen pieces, pointing out that he hadn't cut taxes, and if he was claiming to have a picture of Nigel Lawson on the wall behind him in the office, it probably was about time he cut taxes. And I'll be honest, I did not expect him to be the first Chancellor in 16 years to cut income taxes. But I will say, overall, he hasn't cut taxes and the tax burden is not going down. He has cut income tax, he's raised national insurance contributions, and it's all very welcome, and he's made it so that 70% of people won't be worse off come July, when sneakily the national insurance threshold jump comes in, but the raise in the rate happens next month. So you'll get a bit of a shock on your pay slip next month, and then you won't get anything better till the summer holidays. Overall, I think it's a mixed bag, and I think most of the think tanks said the same, that he's given one hand and taken the other. It did wrong foot Rachel Reeves, and you could see her frantically thinking, oh my god, he's cut taxes, as it was before she got up, which probably gives us a good chance to talk about how the actual delivery of the statement went. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can quite easily separate out the politics and the economics of what was announced today. Politically, it was very clever and it was very shrewd, and it's given Rishi a huge amount of ammunition to fight back against the allegations that he's all talk, no trousers when it comes to being a low tax Tory. We saw that, Rachel Reeves had to marker pen out her, her tax attack lines, and that was all very clever.
I think Rachel did a very competent job in responding. I think there was the workmanlike response in the matters of substance was good. Some of the jokes, though, were terrible. What was it? Alice in Sumakland? What was the other one? There was another one.
We had all sorts. We had Humpty Dumpty. We had Alice in Wonderland. We had her, I think, accusing Rishi of giving money to drug dealers at some point. I mean, it was completely all over the place, scattergun approach, and it's always difficult. But actually, she sort of managed to adapt to the surprise of what Rishi had announced marginally better than she managed to deliver the pre-scripted lines that her shadow treasury team had come up with in anticipation, and that really was a bit of a difficult watch. Our interpretation is shared by quite a lot of the centre-right think tanks in their reactions, which is undoubtedly the creation of parity between the national insurance and the income tax threshold to over 12.5 grand is really welcome. And that is actually the sort of thing that puts real money back into people's pockets, obviously forgetting about all the money that's going to be taken out of it. But, the rest of the story is a lot less positive, a lot less free market, and a lot more damning for people's prospects over the next year.
The economic forecasts from the ABR were pretty grim. So that 330 quid that the average worker is going to get back on their national insurance threshold rise will have to be compensated, but we'll have to compensate for inflation probably hitting 8.7%. I mean, that is something else. The growth forecast has been cut from 6% down to 3%, 3.8%. It's let's not pretend. It's looking possible that we could get a recession by the end of the year or early into next year, which will make the backdrop for the general election very difficult.
I don't, I'm not really the sort of person who complains when Rishi accurately says, in a sort of free market vein, that he can't do everything and he can't help everyone and he can't solve everything. The problem is when he combines that, lack of action with a simultaneous raiding of people's pay packets, that you get a very, very confused ideological, fiscal prospectus. And today we finally, hopefully, very hopefully, have seen both a high watermark of these damning predictions over the next year, but also of post-COVID. And we say, I think, Paul, you mentioned that he's cut income tax. Of course, he hasn't cut income tax. He's promised to in 2024, just ahead of the general election, which is a classic political strategy. But I think, imagine, is sort of the sort of thing that the political advisor team pushed through against quite a lot of protestation from the economists in the Treasury.
Oh yeah, I had a WhatsApp from one of the advisors this afternoon saying happy, and I said the overall taxes have gone up, and they said we did have to pay for a 400 billion COVID debt that isn't going to pay for itself. On the whole, I still think this could have been more of a growth-orientated budget. I know they're hemmed in by the reality of the spending over the last 2 years on COVID. They gave away a few baubles. All your windmills and solar panels now are VAT-free, which is handy. But I think they took away the grants you used to get for it to some extent a while ago. They're going to give you, it's going to be tax-free to insulate your home, which seems to me to be sensible. Encourage people to do that. I mean, if everyone insulated their home up to Scandinavian standards, it would save an amazing amount of energy.
And again, the other bauble was the 5p at the pump tax cut on fuel duty, which is large, and it is one of the largest cuts to fuel duty. But I think I've just seen a money-saving expert, Martin Lewis, analysis that's probably about £1 per refill of the family car. So, I think the headline announcement on that is better than the effect it's going to have to people's finances.
Well, I drive.
But I think
a
I
Jag.
think Rishi's strongest analysis.
I drive a Jag, so it's about £2.50 for me. But then I don't do as many miles as the rest of you per litre. By the way, the VAT he's got off the higher prices will effectively pay for that excise duty give back. So, because don't forget, there's two taxes on your fuel. There's the excise duty and the VAT. If prices are up 50%, he's got a whole load more VAT income coming in anyway. So he can afford to, shift that off excise duty. Another example of the circular economy, where he gives with one hand and takes with the other.
And I mean, looking into the deep dive of what today's announcements involve, actually he's got a lot of fiscal headroom coming off the backs of student finance changes, hasn't he? You can see in the book that I think they're going to get about 11 million extra next year out of upfront, cash and loan changes and many more between that. So 11 billion, forgive me. So, and there's already criticism that by, emphasising a rise in national insurance while cutting income tax is already rebalancing the books on the backs of earners and younger people, as well as student graduates getting thumped with a huge array of new repayments. I don't think the Tories are targeting a political strategy at winning over the youth vote. I think they're probably partly trying to consolidate more of that grey vote in the wake of a more reassuring, competent-looking Labour Party, and we see in the polls that older voters are already starting to wobble more than they have for the last 10 years or so. So that's certainly partly the strategy there, and I'm going to feel that as a graduate. So I think if we just finish by returning to that main point here, which, this was a spring statement. It wasn't a budget. It wasn't about loads of giveaways and loads of help for people. And really what Rishi decided to do was use it as a major political boost within the Tory party for his own ratings. And he's probably done that with the NI change and the promise of the income tax change. So really, this was more about the politics than the economics, and on that ground he'll have succeeded. And I don't know, do you think Boris is going to be having a slightly less easy sleep tonight as a result of
Well, Boris is a believer in the cake theory of politics, so he will still be keen on spending and tax cuts. But in a way, all this sleight of hand from Rishi has put himself in a better place with the backbenchers who are getting a little bit miffed with him, because he's done all these indirect taxes which are less visible, and your average worker's less grumbling about them because he doesn't notice them so easily. He has also put Labour in a difficult position, because Labour was beginning to frame themselves as the low tax advocacy party, and now he's put us in a position where they're going to have to probably vote against an income tax cut, which he will be able to use rhetorically and come the general election campaign. So he's probably shot their fox on the whole tax issue quite successfully. Not a bad day's work for him.
There we are. Those are our views. I'm sure you will have plenty of others that you can debate in the various comment sections below. Until next time.